So my name is Faith Howard, and I teach reading, eighth grade, and it will be my sixth year in this school building coming
So,
up
my
in
name is Terra Kehlenbrink. I am going into my third year in the role of ELL specialist at Bayless Elementary School in the Bayless School District, St. Louis, Missouri. And before that, I taught first grade for 2 years and second grade for 10 years.
My largest English language population is Hispanic. I've even had to learn myself by forming relationships with my students, and I have had to teach my other students that not all of my Hispanic students are from Mexico, which is a stereotype, if you will, a myth. I have students from Guatemala, um, from Cuba, from Bolivia, all over who speak Spanish as their native language. The second thing that I've had to learn is um, in regards to not just specifically, I had a personal experience with my Hispanic family. Um, Spanish is not always their first language,
Mm.
which I again I had to learn about that. But also, a lot of my families come from African countries, Somalia, the Congo Republic, and so there are a lot of different languages that I've encountered over there. Kinyarwanda, one of my students speaks that. French. A lot of my African students are trilingual,
Mhm.
which was something that was new to me. They speak multiple languages, so that was really eye opening.
Honestly, it varies. Many times I might be working with families that are relatively new to the country within like a year or even 2 years. But then we also have many families that their children were born here, but they still are receiving ELL services. And it's also a wide variety of we have families where neither parent speaks any English. We have families where one parent does and one parent doesn't. And then we have families where the whole family, you know what I mean, speaks English proficiently, but their child is still receiving services because maybe they didn't hear that English be spoken until they hit kindergarten or whatnot. So it's kind of a wide variety.
Sure.
Um, I would say it was pretty close minded. I had one way of doing things. I had become exposed to so much more through my CTEL training and my CTEL experiences, and it's opened up my mind and allowed me to have more meaningful relationships with my EL families. And so it's I understand that everything from my point of view was is not black and white,
Mm.
and that there are multiple perspectives to consider when I'm teaching my EL learners, or my engagement rather, idea of engagement is not the same as their idea of engagement. So just to be open-minded and listen and be thoughtful and purposeful about trying getting my families more involved. And
Mm.
it might look different for different families, instead of like putting a one size fit all
Mhm.
for my EL families. This culture over here, for example, my I had a Somali family. I didn't understand. He didn't shake my hand.
Mm.
And my first inkling was, it was the end of the day. I'm like, did my deodorant run out or something? But I had to learn that, even though he was physically there, that was his way of being involved, even though, and I had to respect his cultural boundary that in their culture, they don't shake women's hands. So, I had to learn that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So before this, my primary communication with parents and families as a classroom teacher had been, you know what I mean? Like obviously parent teacher conferences, and if they came up for say a party or something, or like if I needed to call a parent for meetings like with us to like talk about things, it was really eye-opening because especially like our coffee and conversation event that we had a couple of years ago, it was not hugely attended, but our families that came had so much great information to share, and we got so many great ideas from them, like that we're still like this coming year, like one of the parents had talked about like students who need help with homework but don't have someone at home that can help them due to the language barrier. And so like one of my big things this year is trying to get a homework club going.
Mm,
And that idea came straight from the parents.
mm,
So you just get to kind of know them better and like see them in a different way, not as parent and I'm the teacher and we're going to talk about what's going on at school with your child, but more of them coming and like sharing like ideas they have of what could make their child's experience better or their experience better. Like, so more of a partnership than
mm,
a parent teacher role. The things that we did that really worked were having like that very relaxed like coffee kind of experience, because when a parent thinks that they're just coming and and we always made sure that the kids were welcome because sometimes that can be a barrier. So I think that strategy worked well, letting them know that they could bring their children, um, providing coffee and tea and snacks like that. And when they know that it's like kind of just like a casual, like, come, we're all going to share experiences, we're going to talk, that seemed to work really well. Like, we actually had parents say, like, can we do this again?
For me, it would be the consistent communication. That's what it would be, and by any means necessary. If I had to translate through a written mode, if I had to use the I forget the name of, but we have a translation service. If I had to do that, if I had to contact, this past school year, I had a lady in language services, and she was particularly close with this one family. If I had to use her as a resource, so just continuing the communication, so that definitely check your biases, which is something I had to do. Why do you feel this way? Where did it come from? What is it that you need to do to change your bias? Making that personal connection to understand that we're all people. We all have feelings, we all have needs, wants, desires, so on and so forth. So that was a huge one for me, checking your personal biases, your prejudices, because we all have them, so that you can begin to build solid, concrete relationships with your students and their families.